It's almost 9:45, and so we'll, if you need a cup of coffee or a donut, I'm sure there are more donuts available, always a donut available. So settle in. We're so pleased to have Holly Brown here from the Elder Network today to talk about caregiving and the role of caregivers and some best practices and just help us realize that there's all kinds of resources out there for all of us who are doing a lot of caregiving in our lives. And so I'm going to turn it over to her and allow her to introduce herself further, but let's welcome her this morning.
If I don't use the microphone, use it.
Shoot. I was hoping to not have to use this thing. Well, thank you, Pastor Jason, for letting me come today. My name is Holly Brown, and born and raised here in Rochester. And I am currently working with Elder Network. Raise of hands of how many have heard of Elder Network or used their services? Good, good. We are a nonprofit organization here in here in Rochester and Winona and also Wabasha County. We serve individuals 55 and better and their families. And my role is the respite and companion coordinator. And I've also done some caregiver coaching over the years, facilitate the support groups, and so I am just really blessed to be able to work with individuals who are going through that caregiving journey. The neat thing about caregiving is it really does affect each and every one of us. And we're going to kind of explain that in a slide or two. So let's just kind of jump right into it, okay? So here is kind of an idea to think about when you're reading these questions. To identify, have I been a caregiver, or really am I a caregiver? Do you ever find yourself trying to do it all? Do you ever say to yourself, well, I should be able to, I can never, or similar statements? Do you ever ignore your feelings or find that you are overwhelmed? Do you ever get frustrated because of something you can't change or someone who won't change? Do you ever resist seeking, asking for, or accepting help? Do you feel that your family or others just don't understand what you're going through as a caregiver? Some of you maybe have said yes to one or two of these questions or more. Well, as Rosalind Carter, former First Lady, said, there are 4 kinds of people in the world: those who have been caregivers, those who are currently caregivers, those who will need to be caregivers, and those who will be caregivers and those who will need a caregiver. So like I said, it does really affect all of us, right? So I'm just going to share a story or two. We have had a caregiver who was caring for her husband with a rare cancer come into our office because as she was driving by 7th Street, she saw Elder Network. Had no idea what we did, had no idea what we were about, but she pulled in, she came up to our office and met us at the door in tears. We pulled her aside, said, what's going on? And she said, well, I don't know if I'm in the right area, but I am just at my lowest point. I don't know where to turn, I don't know what to do. And I saw Elder Network and thought, what the heck? So during our conversation with her, we recognized that she had moved away from her hometown to bring her husband here for medical treatment, left all her family, friends, the comforts of the home that she'd been in for many, many years, and all the comforts that brought her. She only had contact with professionals, medical professionals at this point, because that's where she was spending the majority of her day. And She didn't know where to turn, but she knew that she was ready to give up. It was overwhelming. She couldn't handle it anymore. Her life was out of control, and she just didn't know what to do. We encouraged her to attend our caregiver support group, meet other individuals who are helping a family member or a friend go through a very serious situation. She said, "Oh, I have nothing to lose. Why not?" So she came, she shared, she listened. From that meeting, she continued to attend those support groups. And then she went on to take one of our caregiver education classes, the Powerful Tools for Caregiving, which she says changed her life. And from that time, she's now become quite an advocate for self-care and for recognizing that we do need to take care of ourselves, no matter what our situation is, and that there are services out there to help when we don't know where to turn. She learned what her strengths were and focusing on what she can do, and really how blessed she really is in her life. Instead of only focusing on the things that she had no control over, which for her was the chronic illness. She recognized the importance of learning the tools from the class, and that not just surviving as a caregiver, but thriving also was what her spouse needed of her. And to me, that's such a powerful story, because I think we all can resonate at some level what it's like to care for somebody, whether it's an acute illness and it's short term versus a chronic condition, which can mean years. And we really have to understand what that means to help somebody in those situations so that we can take care of ourselves along the way. And so that's why I say it's a journey, because for some folks maybe their journey is only a month, and for other people it can be 20 and plus years. I have just one other story to share. We had a client join Elder Network, probably 4 years ago. We met her in a rehab facility. She really wanted to come back home, and so the children found information and found out that there was Elder Network available. So they called us and said, "Will you come and meet my mom and talk about your services? She really wants to go home, but we just don't know if it's feasible." So we met her in rehab and talked about our services. And she honestly didn't think that she'd be able to go home because she lived alone. And through the help of Elder Network and her children, she was able to go home. We were able to come in every day and provide her a lunch, let her dog out, give the dog some extra water, become her friend and socialize with her throughout the day, help the family who was working full-time so that they didn't have to come home during their lunch every day and worry about her. And we were able to offer her those services and keep her at home for 3 years. She didn't think that would be even a possibility. And so I know that that family is so grateful to just get in contact with an organization that could help their family stay at home. And I love this phrase that we use at Elder Network: the very old need very little, but that very little, they need very much. Isn't that true? Sometimes, we just need a lift, to the store, or sometimes we just need someone to bring in the mail because maybe the driveway's not safe to walk down anymore, or maybe it is just that one meal a day, or that visit. Sometimes it's those little things that really do keep us going forward and keep us thriving in life, not just surviving. One thing about caregivers is, and we do hear this in the media quite a bit, is caregiving can be stressful. Well, life can be stressful, right? But there are ways to managing our stress. And one of the things that I've learned, and that I think is really important, is first of all, recognizing, how do I even know when I'm feeling stressed? What are my warning signs? So for me, I get tired, maybe irritable, I can't concentrate as well. Maybe I even tend to get emotional and cry much more easily than when I'm not feeling overwhelmed. Maybe even experiencing headaches, pain, forgetfulness, resentful. Once you know what your warning signs are, then it's important to identify, well, what brought me to be so stressed out? What happened? Was it the thing that just pushed you over the edge today? Was just one more demand, one more responsibility? Or is it an accumulation of things that I've been ignoring? Maybe having too little time to do everything that we want to do or need to do can be stressful. As I mentioned before, knowing the difference between those chronic illnesses compared to the acute illness. One thing about the powerful tools for caregiving classes, I've been teaching and facilitating that class for about 4 years now, and I must tell you, even if I do that class 3-4 times a year, I'm always learning something about myself, and it's such a great reminder to what this class is all about. And one of the things keeps coming back to me is we can't have the same mentality and drive for when we're having acute illness as when we have a chronic illness, right? Acute illness, say someone has pneumonia, or bronchitis, or flu, we know that's going to maybe last a couple weeks to a couple months. And you say, okay, well, I gotta do what I gotta do to help this person or help myself. So I'm gonna not go to that meeting on those Tuesday nights anymore for a while, or I'm gonna have to cut back on even attending church for a while because I can't get there. I don't want to spread whatever I have to them. I just need to take more time for myself. If you're working, maybe you have to take a leave of absence until you get better. You have more appointments. There's something that we have within us when there's an acute illness and we know it's short term, that we're just gonna plunge through, right? I can do that because I know this I'll get better, and we're gonna get over this. But with a chronic illness, we have to be really careful that we're very realistic about our expectations of how we go through that journey. Because you can't have that same go-hung drive for years without recognizing, okay, I need to find balance. I need to see who else is out there. And we're going to talk about that too, because I feel that that's so important. Just recognizing what we do for short term compared to long term. Maybe one of the things that is stressing is that you're helping somebody who doesn't live in this community. Have you heard of long distance caregivers? Okay. Maybe some of you in this room have children who don't live in Rochester, who don't live in Minnesota, who don't even live in the United States. But you might need their help. Or they might need yours. That would be long distance. What can you do long distance to help somebody? Well, there are different things that they may have to learn, or you may have to learn about how to get on the internet and search up resources in their community or where they're living. Maybe you know somebody who has family member or friends who are taking over their finances, or have arranged all their medical appointments for them because they can't do that for themselves. So it can be a little different if you're long distance compared to just down the block, right? The other thing can be just emotional burnout. That can be a major stressor. Too much going on at one time. And not knowing really how to manage that. And it just kind of builds. So once we know our warning signs, what we're feeling, and then what triggers those feelings, we're going to learn how to cope or manage. And we can do that by learning new coping strategies. If, for instance, your stress is physical, do something physical. We want to counteract it with the same type of feeling. So if you're feeling pain, headaches, you may want to go for walks, take a jog, go for a run, do something physical. If you feel that your stress is more related to mental, you can't concentrate, you are forgetful, you may want to try some strategies that help build your mental capacity. They say that doing meditation can be very helpful. Reading more. Listening to soothing music can even be helpful. If you find that your responses to stress are both physical and mental, they encourage you to try yoga, because it does both, right? This is a little bit more aggressive, but racquetball or tennis, something that you have to think about while you're doing. That can also be a great way to relieve that stress that you may be feeling. There's lots of other coping strategies available. And I'm sure if I was to go around the room and ask each and every one of you, what do you do when you're feeling stressed, or how do you relax yourself? We'd come up with a variety of wonderful ideas. The biggest thing is pick things that work for you. Some people love to journal. Some people hate to journal. Some people call a friend. Sometimes we don't want people to know. So whatever works for you to help get you through that moment, please don't hesitate to do that. If you feel like it's getting to the point where you need professional help, gosh, you live in the right community. We have lots of great professionals in this community to help. With therapy, with coaching, people here at your church, talking to Pastor Jason or others whom you trust is really important. So the next one's kind of leads us into that with building your own self-care kit. Really just means taking better care of yourself. And I feel that a huge component of that is knowing our own personal boundaries. And a lot of times we don't know what our boundaries are until they've been crossed, right? That can be a warning sign of stress as well. Like, why did that conversation really bother me? Or why did that one more request on my plate just send me over the edge? Oh, well, it might be a boundary. Maybe that you need to start to say no and be okay saying no. Not now. I have my own personal story with this. I have children, and my youngest child always loved to push me to the edge. And before I started taking this class, The Powerful Tools, and really understanding more about myself, it always appeared that at night, when I'd say, all right, it's bedtime, 9 o'clock. Oh, but Mom, will you read to me now? I just want to cuddle with you. I would find myself becoming really irritable and like not want to spend that time with him. And I thought, why am I not happy to have bubbly son, want to spend time with me. I was like, no, you need to go to bed. And he's like, but I'm not tired. I'm like, but I'm tired. And after taking this class, I realized that's my boundary. 9 o'clock, I emotionally and physically start to just shut down. And once I learned that about myself, I was able to say to him, Ethan, I'm learning that by 9 o'clock, when I'm telling you it's time to go to bed, it's because I need quiet time now. And it's not that I don't want to spend time with you, but if you want me to read to you or play a game or cuddle, we need to do that at like 8. I'd be happy to do that with you. And once I was able to verbalize it and express it, he was like, okay. So willing to not have a problem. The next time it was like, all right, Ethan, it's 9 o'clock, it's time for bed. Okay, well, you're shutting down, so I'm going to bed. It was like, thank the Lord he understood what I was trying to say, And what a blessing for me to not have to feel like, oh, I'm such a mean mom at 9 o'clock, so I don't want to spend time with him. He's 12 now and doesn't always go to bed at 9, but he knows I still need my space. And that's just been a really, really positive thing for me to learn about myself. Because I don't have to feel bad about knowing that's when I need my alone time at night. But focusing on your health, okay? Getting enough sleep. How many of you get enough sleep every night where you feel refreshed in the morning and life is good? Good, glad to see some hands. For those of you who don't get enough sleep, maybe trying to figure out what's going on. Some of us like to nap during the day. Is that part of it? Some of it's medication that we're on. Some of it's just, our mind is just wheeling with things before bed. Okay, so kind of trying to figure out, do I have a to-do list still going on in my head before bed, and maybe I need to jot those down, or I need to let it go. I need to be okay with, today was a pretty successful day. I got a lot done. I'll get to that. Taking regular breaks from whether it's caregiving, whether it's work, whether, whatever is going on in your life, recognizing that we all have the right to take a break and to do something fun. One thing in this class that I was teaching, I'm sorry because I'm going to probably go back to that a lot, but I just really love this class, but we do action plans. And for those caregivers who have taken that class, and every week we give them an action plan, in the beginning it was like, oh, another to-do thing. And then I kind of came up with this fun little thing and said, well, how about action plans or something that bring you joy? And the audience, the participants were like, well, I kind of like that. Because then I'm not writing down mow the lawn, paint the house, right? Those to-do lists. It was like, no, think of something that you haven't done in a while that you want to do that brings you joy. And it was so fun to see what they would write down. And then, of course, the following week, those that were able to actually be successful and go for it, and just the demeanor in them and how lighter they felt and looked to even us, because they were able to accomplish something fun, something they hadn't done for themselves in a long time, hadn't given themselves permission to do, which I think is really, really important. Maybe for some who can't see themselves taking a break, but being able to focus on maybe a positive quote that they can reflect on. My partner, she lived alone, and she would write little things in lipstick on her mirror at home as a reminder. You're enough. Or don't fuss about your hair. Whatever it was, that she would maybe focus on that was more negative, she'd write something positive on her mirror so she'd see it every morning. Buy yourself a little something. Or being able to use positive self-talk can be really a wonderful gift to ourselves. I know when we say things out loud that are patting ourselves on the back, some people may go, that was kind of interesting that they say that about themselves. Or we're afraid of people hearing us say positive things about ourselves because it may come off as, well, they're kind of being conceited, or, that's not the way it is at all. But being able to say, you did a good job today. Or, good for you for getting the dishes done. Or, good for you for making that phone call and setting up that meeting or getting that appointment scheduled. I know it's been kind of on the back of your mind, so good job for making that call today. These are 30-second tasks that we can do that we need to feel good about. And so the more that we do positive self-talk, the better we end up feeling about ourselves. And when we feel good about ourselves, we're going to be in a better place to make somebody else feel good. When we're consumed with negativity or in our own issues, it's really hard to want to help somebody else because we're pretty overwhelmed, right? So if we can get ourselves right, a lot of times we're much better for other people. And who doesn't want to be around a happy person, right? Who wants to be around a crabby person? And so if we can tell someone's having a bad day, a bad week, a bad month, a bad year, it's like, oh, I better just stay away. I don't want to, put any more on their plate, or they already kind of seem like they've got enough going on, right? That happens too pretty naturally. So if we're able to take those regular breaks and say nice things to ourselves, people are going to want to be with us. We're going to want to be with other people. That leads us to point 3 of seeking help from others, getting connected. I'm sure there's great conversation even with you in this room, before and after your service. What'd you do this week? What's going on? What's new? We got kids coming, snowbirds for those that have already left. But, great conversation, great opportunity to reconnect with folks even right here at Zumber Lutheran. And in workplaces, or if you belong to a bridge club or a health club, getting to know those people, really understanding where they're coming from too, and building those relationships can be really powerful. But we also want you to know that there are professionals in the community, lots of professionals, that can also be of help to get you from where you want to be, or where you are, to where you want to be. And that's what I do in my caregiver coaching role. I really meet people where they're at and sit with them and hear their story and help them figure out a way to get to a better place if that's what they desire. Sometimes it's just knowing the resources. Sometimes it's just like, I'm overwhelmed and I just need to share my story and the support group doesn't seem like a good fit for me. Okay. Sometimes it's working on these specific issues and they really don't know how. There just seems to be too many barriers to be able to have the life that they want. And so, listen. And together we come up with ideas. Some they might try and they work, and some they might try and it doesn't work, and then we just keep moving forward. But seeking help from others can really be important and helpful. So here are just a few of some local resources, and I wanted to add the phone numbers on here in case any of you wanted to write them down today. Maybe some things I've been mentioning have hit home for someone you know, or even yourself, and you want to be able to share this contact number with them right away. So just a raise of hands, how many have heard of the senior linkage line? A few of you? Okay. The senior linkage line is a resource center. We're very blessed to have one in our own community. There are a number of them in Minnesota alone. I believe we have 3 or 4. And I have with me today a stack of blue books. And in this blue book which is put on by the senior linkage line, is this hot pink sheet. And for those of you who decide that this book might be helpful, when you take this pink sheet out, it's going to unfold and unfold, and it's very large. But it covers all of southeastern Minnesota. So if you have family members who live in Austin, or Winona, or wherever, and you're looking for a service that they may need, you can pull out this sheet and look up Winona, and then it'll give you all the resources for that community. This is geared towards seniors, so the information that you find in here is going to be relevant for those 55 and better. So I have a bunch of these if you need. They have home services, transportation, legal assistance, financial, the senior advocate information, which actually we do have both Olmsted County senior advocates working in our office right now. And so if there are services that individuals need or are looking for, they certainly can call and talk to a senior advocate. I have their business cards up here on my table as well. Of course, I put the Elder Network. I have some brochures up here. I have our newsletter up here, which talks about all of our classes and support groups and upcoming fundraiser. For those of you that are sitting at the tables, you guys got a little bit of that information at your table. Elder Network has a variety of non-medical programs. So we offer transportation to medical appointments. Doesn't matter if people still drive or not, and it doesn't matter your income. We're here to help if you need it. We also have home visitors, and so whether you need a 1 hour a week visit or longer, we do have individuals who we can send to come visit you at home. For those who are homebound or lonely or need some help overcoming a very difficult situation. We have Caregiver Respite, which is kind of my program. So whether you need a break, very important break, an hour or two a week, or if you need something daily, we can offer that as well. The Olmsted County Social Services, I have that number down for all of you who may or may not need to get a hold of the county for what programs they offer, or sometimes we get calls at Elder Network from folks that'll say, well, my husband and I currently live together, but we're getting to the point where they may need memory care, but I want to stay home. So how do I pay for that? I don't want to lose my house, and I still have to have money to live off, but how does that work? I refer them to the county. Or my spouse is a veteran, and I'm wondering if we qualify for any benefits. I refer them to the county. I also refer them to the county if they're wanting to stay at home, but don't know if it's feasible. And maybe this family needs home health, or maybe needs therapies. Maybe they need meals provided. I encourage them to go to the county first, have an assessment from either the public health nurse or the social worker, and that individual will help get them connected to the right places. We have lots of great housing facilities in this community as well for folks who decide that being at home really isn't the best choice for them anymore. And the senior linkage line has a whole list of housing facilities, what their amenities are, costs, things of that nature. I'm not sure if they even know, I'm sure they'd have to know even who has openings and who doesn't right now for those individuals. Many of the individuals, we talked earlier about respite and needing that break. One of the calls we get at Elder Network is, well, I have a class reunion coming up, but it's not in Minnesota, and my spouse really can't go with me, so what do I do? I don't know if I should leave them home and try to find in-home help for those 4 or 5 days, or is there any facilities that offer respite? And the answer is all of the above. So depending on if your family member or you feel the need to stay home, there is home care. If you feel like being in a facility setting, we definitely have housing facilities, the independent housing and the assisted livings that do also offer short-term respite for families who are looking for that break, whether it's just a break, I just need a break, I'm not going anywhere, but I just need a break. Or I'm going to a wedding, or I'm going to a class reunion, or I have an opportunity to go on a 2.5-week vacation, right? And didn't ever think it was possible, but if I can get the right kind of help, maybe I can actually go on this trip of a lifetime. So there are opportunities for that as well. The Senior Linkage Line can help with those resources. You can call Elder Network as well, and the county will also have those facilities. I added the last two because I think they're also very important. Reconnecting with your primary physician or their nurse. Telling them what's going on. Telling them, maybe things are changing, and I don't know. I don't know. Is this normal? Is this not normal? What can I expect with this chronic illness that we're dealing with? The more you know, I think the more you're going to feel better and educated about how to move forward and when it's time to have a certain kind of help, right? Having that plan in place can really reduce our stress. So the more we know is actually better. And then also, we do have elder law attorneys here in Rochester as well. So again, having questions about certain legal matters, you want to go to the professionals, right? You don't want to go to a mechanic when you have a furnace issue, right? I mean, it just doesn't make sense. So we want to make sure that we have the right resources and the right people in place for you to be successful. My executive director loves this quote: "Life isn't about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning to dance in the rain." So embracing our own situation, learning what we need to learn, accepting the reality, and maybe letting go of unrealistic expectations or past hurts can be really important. Because again, we want everyone to thrive as an individual, not just survive. You guys have been a great audience. Do you guys have any questions for me regarding caregiving or Elder Network, or just anything that come to your mind as I'm sharing today?
How elder do I have to be elder?
Good question. Well, 55 and better. So not very elder. Yes?
What are the numbers of people that you serve?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, in all 3 counties, we have on average about 500 clients that we serve at any given time. And a lot of our programs are also done from volunteers in the community, and that's how we stay a nonprofit and keep our commitments to the community with having affordable services for them. And so I would say between our fundraisers, where, have any of you ever been to the murder mysteries up at the Plummer House? No? Okay. One? Okay, good. All of the actors and actresses are also volunteers with Elder Network. Our board is also volunteers. So I would say with that number, we're probably close to, oh gosh, 300-400, depending on the capacity that they're serving in.
What's your greatest need for volunteers?
Ooh, greatest need. Well, that's a really kind of hard one because I still feel like we have needs in all programs that we serve. Our transportation to medical has really boomed. I was coordinating that program for the last year, and our ride needs had doubled. We had been giving about 80 rides a month, and I just handed over the reins 2 weeks ago, and when we figured out the numbers, we were averaging 150 rides a month. That's a lot of rides with a handful of drivers. I mean, we have such dedicated drivers. So I'm going to say if there's anyone in this room that is available during the day and wouldn't mind giving someone a lift, I would love to talk with you about our transportation program. Because sometimes we have folks who are seeking dialysis and they need a ride 3 times a week. Pretty important that they get there, and pretty important that they can rely on their transportation. And we have a door-through-door service, which is really nice for those who might need a little extra arm assist or reminder, don't forget your keys. Got your coat? Got your mittens? It's kind of cold out today. You know, we want to make sure they leave the house appropriately. And then picking them up when they're finished and bringing them right back home. No long waits, which I know can, when you're not feeling well, the last thing you want to do is sit around and wait for a ride for 45 minutes. I'm hearing it's a reality, so if that's an issue, you know, we want people to know that they may only have to wait 10-15 minutes for their driver to get across town to come back and pick them up. But usually if the driver's aware of what time they're going to be about finished, they're kind of in that vicinity. So once they get that call on their cell phone and say, I'm ready, oh, okay, I'll be there in 2 minutes. You know, so that's nice to have that quick turnaround. We're always in need of home visitors too. I mean, we have a lot of folks who are still at home on their own and doing rather well, but have chosen, or it has been chosen, that they no longer drive. You maybe know somebody. So they're just unable to get out to all the fun things that they once did. And they could have been a very social individual. And so now not being able to participate in those things has really taken a toll on their well-being and emotional state. So having people come in and play cards or visit or watch a movie with or go for a walk or do exercises or do something like that can really be a highlight of the day. So without those programs, they're about an hour a week, which is pretty minimal for some volunteer programs that I'm hearing about. So if you're looking to get connected with somebody, please let us know. We always have a waiting list of clients who are in need of a visitor or someone to chat with. So,
how are your services paid for?
How are our services paid for? Good question. We do have a sliding fee scale for our clients. And so it just kind of goes off their income. And we also are able to get some matching funds from the Area Agency on Aging, which has been offering us support since day one, which has really been great. We've quadrupled the people that we serve. We've increased our programs that we offer. And so the funds that we've gotten from the area agency have remained the same over the last 28 years. So with that, you know, when you're serving more people and you're offering more things and staff have to work longer, there was a gap. And so we had to fill in the gap with more fundraisers that we're offering throughout the year, the sliding fee scale for participants who are using the program. And, you know, really it's been a very positive adjustment for us doing that. I think we all want to contribute to programs that are meaningful. And when we know we are contributing, we take it more seriously. So because we're utilizing volunteers in the community for the majority of our programs, we really are able to keep the costs much lower than what you would pay in other programs or privately paid. But there still is that cost. Yes, ma'am?
This is very interesting. I can look around this room and tell you many people that have been caregivers.
Can you?
And you
Good.
don't know what it's like till you do it. But anyway, my question is, do you have to have special insurance to give a ride?
No, you do not.
Okay.
No. And your primary insurance that you carry right now covers anyone who rides in your car with you. And so it's the same thing. We do collaborate with the Catholic Charities. They have a program called RSVP, Retired Seniors in the Volunteer Program. And they do offer a mileage reimbursement for volunteers, as well as extra insurance. So that has been a really great program that we've been collaborating with so that our volunteers who give a lot of rides and who are keeping very busy with us do get some positive feedback, whether it's mileage reimbursement or that extra insurance liability. Good question. Any others? Well, I appreciate all of you being here today. I hope the information that I shared was meaningful to you, and you can take back some of this information, share it with others who may not be here today, or at least some thought-provoking comments. I have lots of information up here at the desk. I'd love for you to come and kind of peruse what I've got and take what's meaningful to you. Thank you again for your time, and I hope the rest of your day is blessed.